This is the Journey Podcast. We highlight the journeys of our guests, where they've been, where they are now, and where they are going. Let's join them on their journey. Well, welcome to the Journey Podcast. Today we have the honor to be joined with Kathy Catazaro Perry. She's the mayor of the city of Massillon, Ohio, and she joins us today. Kathy's serving in her third term as the mayor of Massillon, and Massillon is located in northeast Ohio, about 40 minutes south of Cleveland, give or take a little bit. But Kathy's more than just a mayor. Kathy's a nurse, she's an entrepreneur, and outside of her life on public service, she's worked with 2 hospitals, and she's founded the Golden Key School. I'm going to let Kathy tell us about her because she's really the best person to do that. She's just truly an interested and an inspiring leader, and I'm just thrilled to have her join us. Thanks for being here today, Kathy.
Thank you, Nate.
Yeah.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, so Mayor Kathy, so I would say, what's your business? It's typical, but you're one of the first public servants we've had on the podcast, so it's an exciting, different look at a journey of somebody's career into that work. So tell us a little bit about what it's like to be a mayor, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the other things you're involved in as well.
Sure. Well, again, thank you for having me, Nate. I'm excited to be with you this morning. One of the things about being a mayor that I like is every day is different. There's not one day that is the same as the next. And so there's never a dull moment as being the mayor. There's always a challenge. There's always an issue or concern that we work on, and they can just pop up. And so I love putting out fires. I love solving problems. And one thing that I will share is that everyone in your community can help to solve problems. That's something that I've learned as being the mayor. You don't have to be the mayor to solve problems.
That's an interesting thing, because I think sometimes the perspective can be well, those people make all the decisions and we just kind of follow along. And so you're really encouraging people to get involved in everything there in Massillon. Am I correct?
That's right. We have a lot of committees that I appoint people to. There's a lot of activity that goes on within the city. So if you want to be involved with the city, our arms are wide open. We welcome you. We want you to be part of the Massillon team. And we want to have a healthy, wonderful community to live, work, and play in.
Yeah, and so maybe shifting a little bit from the city of Massillon, you do more than just work as the mayor of Massillon. I'm particularly interested in you helped co-found the Golden Key School. Can you tell us a little bit about that adventure and how did you get into that?
So that's a relatively kind of a long story, Nate, but I'll try to condense it as much as I can. So I worked at a hospital, and my husband and I found out we were having another child, and a child. And what we learned was that she was going to have special needs, and we learned that during my 5th month of pregnancy. And so we, being a nurse and a physician, we thought we can handle this. But life goes on, and you find out that just because you're a nurse does not mean you can handle it when it's personal. And so we cried for the first 24 hours when we found out. And then from the time we found out to her birth, we worked on educating ourselves, because neither one of us, he had a special needs brother, but neither one of us had growing up had any relationship with anyone with special needs. So that was a time where we needed to stop and educate ourselves. And so then as I moved on, I had to quit my job. Vanessa was born at 2 pounds 11 ounces. So
Wow.
she had to stay in the NICU for quite some time, had to be tube fed. And I was working at the hospital. I wanted to go back to work, but I was looking for a special needs, medically fragile childcare center. And I come to find that Stark DD had like a preschool that she could be part of, but it was only from 9 to 2 or 9 to 11:30, and then 11, then afternoon shift to 2 p.m. Well, a professional person,
Right.
they can't do that,
Right. Yeah.
So it was very difficult. So I worked with the Arkansas County, and Ron Klanowski introduced me to Terry Frank, and Terry Frank and I really took it and created this. And in fact, one message I want to give to your audience today is that I had a pediatrician tell me, you'll never do it. You'll never do it. Because I went to him being a nurse saying, this is the vision, this is the concept, would you like to be part of it? And he said, it'll never happen. So don't listen to people that say it can't be done, because we worked so hard to get it off the ground, and it can be done. And in fact, they just went to the Capitol campaign, and they're going to build a gym now.
Wow.
So on the back of the school. So it's wonderful. They've done a great job continuing it. I am an honorary lifetime member of the board, but being mayor, it's really hard to do my duties and to be part of that. So I'm happy that I was able to co-found it. I was there for about 5 years, and then became the mayor.
Kathy, I think you're the perfect example of, like I like to say, is be the change you want to see out there. If you can't find it, build it. And that's and it's just take the vision and get it off the ground and build it. But that's not really where the story ends, because now you're the mayor of Massillon, and I love that story. And how did you end up? Your background wasn't necessarily political science or anything. You're just a public servant who became a mayor. Tell us a little bit about that journey as well.
Sure. I always wanted to run for office. My dad ran for office years ago when I was about 15, and he lost. He was in a big race. Lots of people were in the race, and he lost. But I was helping him pass out notepads and watched him greet people and listen to their concerns. And I said, someday I'd like to do that. I'd like to run for office. Well, being a nurse and working in the floors, you don't have the opportunity to leave work and go to a Rotary meeting, or leave work and go to a chamber meeting. You can't leave your patients. So until I became a director, I didn't have that opportunity to get out into the community. Once I became a director, I was able to join Rotary and attend chamber events and really start to get to know people, and more or less business people, and public servants. So that opportunity arose. I ran for township trustee in Perry, and I came in third, which means I lost. So my first race, I lost. And so, again, you cry for about 24 hours and you're sad, and then you got to pick yourself up and say, okay, what's next? My husband and I moved to Massillon, and I was approached to run for council, and I really had to study Massillon, which I did. And then I decided to run, and I won that race. So
then that kind of led to the next thing, and you became mayor at some point as well. Am I correct about that?
So I sat on council for 8 years, and I really enjoyed it, but there were parts that were unhealthy. And as a nurse, I didn't like the parts that were unhealthy. And so I really, my last term, I decided I was going to get off council because it wasn't a healthy environment. And my husband said, you're too good of a public servant, and you need to run for mayor. If you want to change something, you have to, put your name out there. And so I did, and I did not expect to win, but I did. And then I became the mayor.
Wow. And I'm sure many stories after that, and some you probably can't tell us. So serving as a public figure, to me, that seems to be pretty polarizing in today's views. It's not, Washington level politics, or at least I hope not, in the city of Massillon. But how does your role as a mayor, how do you overcome those challenges of bridging divides, bringing people together as a mayor?
Well, the city of Massillon was looked upon in the county as sitting on their own island. So the first thing that I did was start to attend events in the county. And that was easy for me to do because I had served on some of the Pro Football Hall of Fame committees and really, really knew a lot of county people and loved the county. And you cannot, in my opinion, govern for just a city. You have to look at the county in which you live in. And there's a group now that's focused on strengthening Stark. And so it's focused on the entire county, and we all work together on trying to build up Stark County and solve problems. And it's a great committee to be on.
Yeah, we're all connected in some way. We all have the same roads and the same infrastructure. And if we work as an island, there's no way we're going to just bring that divide together. So, and maybe you already answered this question, but let's dive a little bit deeper. You look at your career, you started in nursing. What's one thing you really didn't expect to happen?
Well, one was I never had a dream of being the mayor. So that was an unexpected success. Although, when I look back on my career, what I have been able to do is not only with patients, but to help change their trajectory of life. But one of the things that makes me tick is I like to take something. When I started as mayor, I had $416.79 and $2.6 million of unpaid bills.
Wow.
And that was a challenge for me. I like challenges. I like to grow something. When I worked at the wound center in hyperbaric medicine at Affinity Medical Center, that was a brand new program. So I was able to take that program and grow it. Then I went to Altman and worked at Altman Weight Management. And I was able to take that program and grow it for the short time that I was there and make some changes. Those are the things that get me excited about making them successful. And so who knows where I'm going to be in the future, but when I came to Massillon as a resident and then as the mayor, that really made me excited. I had a vision for Massillon of things we wanted to do. And at first, we had to take care of the debt, and we did that. But as we were taking care of the debt, we started working on what the vision was and how we were going to make that happen.
Wow. So you really thrive on overcoming challenges and really overcoming that impossible. And I think that's really shown not only just in your career, but, I was looking over just the multiple awards. The one I wanted to highlight was the Rotarian of the Year, because fellow Rotarians, I think Rotarians are some of the best people I've met. There's other great public service organizations out there, but I love the organization and what we do collectively and how we've worked together with that. So tell me a little bit, what is a common myth about being a mayor? What do people think the mayor is supposed to do that maybe they're wrong about?
I am responsible for everything. So that is one thing that when something goes awry in the city, the mayor should fix it. If a company leaves, the mayor should fix that. And economic development is part of our, underneath our job list of all the things that we do. But so that's one thing, is that if something goes awry, the mayor needs to fix it. One thing that we have been able to fix is we can communicate immediately with our community, and that's something I'm very proud of. We partnered with Nixle, and if a Massillonian wants to be connected to the city and get city information at a moment's notice, They just put in a text box, 888-777-888-777, and then put Massillon in the text box and hit send, and they'll be directly connected with our city. So that is one thing I think that a lot of people, we tell them, I always make them get out there, get your phone out. We're going to do it right now so you're connected to the city. Because if they say, oh, I'll do it later, then they forget, well, what was that number? What am I supposed to put in the text box? But that way, if we have a road closure, if we have an emergency, if we have anything, if a concert's canceled, we can connect to them immediately. And that's one thing I think is vital for a city to have today.
And I think a callback to earlier in this episode was, the myth of a mayor has to fix everything. Actually, everybody's responsible. Mayor Kathy said that she'll put you on a committee if you can help, and if you have an idea, talk with the mayor. That's because we can't do everything ourselves. You have to have a team to build anything.
I agree. And people can help solve problems. So if somebody's having an issue with their neighbor, and they'll say, oh, they just won't listen. There is opportunity to go and have a sit down and talk it out. If your neighbor's bothering you, that it's totally in your control. And then sometimes things escalate and it's not in your control. And that's where you call the police department. But there are things that you can work together on to fix. And we love ideas. I'm an idea person. So if, our residents have an idea that they'd like to see us execute, by all means, make an appointment with me and come in and sit down. And if I think I can do it, it will be done. We work hard to get things done and make our residents proud of their community.
That's fantastic. What would you say is the specific challenges that maybe a city like Massillon needs to overcome now, post-pandemic, in this kind of crazy world we're living in?
So the pandemic hit everyone really hard, and some people harder than others. I know a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety was going on throughout the COVID. One thing that I will just digress and talk about this for a moment is I partnered with ComQuest, and we did videos about mental health during the COVID. And so it was really distraught. It was really a travesty that our seniors did not get to have a prom. That was a big deal for those kiddos. And they waited all their life to have a prom and then to have graduation. And they couldn't have either one of those. Everybody, can't wait to have that in their life and for their senior year. So that was hard. And so we focused a little bit on mental health and the prom and how kids feel, how the parents took it really hard as well. That is a parents, that's a milestone to get to prom and to get to graduate and have the ceremony and have the party and have the family over. That was really hard for a lot of people. So we talked about that. We talked about the elderly people that didn't have an opportunity to visit with others. That was hard on people. So, talking about, problem solving, that was one way we could talk to them about things that they could do while they were by themselves, or, how to communicate, like a Zoom call, like you and I are doing. You could do that. And a lot of people learned how to use Zoom through COVID.
Right.
Including us. So some of the things that are challenges still, I would say, is when we want to do a project, the challenges are finding the funds for it. A lot of people think, oh, a city has a lot of money. And we did have a great carryover this past year. We had about a $5 million carryover. We're straight growing our split, which is hard for a lot of people that aren't in government to understand, but you have operations dollars and then you have capital improvements. And so I'm trying to stretch that split of the percentage that we put in each of those. So our operations were at 94% and our capital dollars are at 6%. So if you grow your capital dollars more, then you can do more projects and you can have funds to help you accomplish those. The other myth that I think people think of is that the city should fund everything.
Hmm.
So if you have a project, they think, oh, well, excuse me, I'm going to say that backwards. The city shouldn't fund anything like a project. You should go write grants and get everything paid for. Well, that's a misnomer because you always have to have skin in the game. So if one of the big projects that we did was our amphitheater, and we received some money from the capital budget from the state of Ohio. We also then wrote a grant to the capital campaign, and we presented, and they gave us $400,000. But some of our council members thought, well, we shouldn't have to pay anything for that. If we're going to do a project, we should have it all paid for. Well, you have to have skin in the game. In just about it's very rare that 100% of a project is paid for without city dollars. Very, very rare. So the city has to have some skin in the game, and it's usually between 20 and 30% when you're writing grants. But if you're doing a project like the amphitheater, you have to maybe put a little bit more into the project. We're working on a splash park right now. So that's a challenge for us, and it's the funding that we're looking for.
Yeah, always trying to find those ways to collectively work and bring those funds together. I'm sure, and just because you have $5 million in your account doesn't mean that just goes to anywhere. And having those understandings of what you do with that money is important. So, tell me, what do you think is the most important lesson you've learned in your career?
The most important lesson, that is a great question. I would say that, when people are angry, there's a reason that they're angry. And so you need to be patient with them and to take 1 to 2 steps back and sit down and understand why they're angry. I know that understanding each other is probably the most important thing. And sometimes people come off a little gruff and they don't mean to, but their passion is there. And so you have to, take your emotions and put them aside and listen to their emotions, because sometimes people can't communicate well. It's done through emotions where they might get angry or yell at you. And so you just need to stop and take a moment and break it down. And I've had very much success by stopping and listening and putting my emotions aside, and also your pride. You have to put your pride aside because people say, you didn't do this or you didn't do that. You have to put that aside and just listen. I think that's probably my biggest lesson throughout all of this. And I always say, God blessed me with Vanessa, who allowed me to have more patience in life. And so that has been a bonus, a plus of, understanding how to communicate with people.
So true. Stop and listen, have some patience. Those are good lessons, good advice. Thanks for that. Tell me, in your opinion, what do you think is the most important personality strength it takes for somebody to be successful in just starting things and overcoming challenges, which you've done in your career?
You know what? I guess I'm very spiritual. I'm a religious person. I serve in my church, and I want, when my life is over, I think about when my life is over, did I make this world a better place or did I make it a worse place? And I strive to make the community stronger, not only financially, but, economically. I want it more healthy so that people do feel that they have a healthy and can come together community, and a community that works together. And so I look at really, how is my life affecting others in a positive way, and what will I be happy with what I've been able to do at the end of my life?
Thank you. That's great. So you haven't done this all alone. I would maybe tell us a little bit about a mentor or the best mentor you've had through this. I don't think anybody can do what they've done without some type of mentor in their life. Who would you say is the most important mentor in your life?
Well, when we're all teenagers, we don't think our parents know anything. right?
Right.
Oh, Mom, you don't know, but I have to say that my mother is she's like the ground, she's a grounder. She grounds you, and she's grounded all my brothers and sisters our whole life. And, she did have some college, but she was a high school graduate, probably the smartest woman that I know. She's got that about her where she could have been a psychologist because she's so smart about people. But she's just an amazing person. And, she has grounded all of us to know that, you have to help in the world. She was a Girl Scout leader, those kinds of things. And just, she invested in people. She's invested in her family. She invested in us children. So I have to say my mom has been one of them, although I've had many people influence me. One of the things that I want to do is try to do everything the right way. And, we all make mistakes. We all have those, hurdles that we have to climb over. But I've always tried to go home at night and put my head down on my pillow and say, I did good today. And I impacted people in a good way. So that I strive for that. And that's something our team does is, we have to do good today. And to talk a little bit about my team, you would think that, in a city, you have lots and lots of people to help you. I have about 5 core people on my team that work hard on every project that we do. They at least know about it if they're not involved in the project, but that is amazing for a city. And you have to surround yourself with good people. You've heard that over and over before, which I have done, but they are just amazing. And I couldn't do my job without them. I couldn't do it.
That's fantastic. And we'll just say thanks, Mom. Thanks, Kathy's mom. I don't know her name, but thanks for just helping influence this just amazing person that's here. So tell us, what's one thing about being mayor that maybe none of your peers, what's that you do, what none of your peers agree with you on? Like, this is unique to Kathy. What would be that thing?
That I do, one thing that I do that I don't know that a lot of people know about is I'm a cheerleading coach.
Oh.
I have 30 special needs children it's called the World Elite Idols. And we were the first in the state of Ohio to go to Disney and perform at the Wide World Complex, sports complex in Orlando. And I think we're at our 18th year this year, and then we'll be celebrating a 20-year anniversary here soon. And and they're all abilities. There's all, any type of disability that they have, they are welcome to join our team.
Well, you just do it all. So we're just discovering stuff here.
Well, my older children danced, and when I had Vanessa, I'm like, what am I going to do for Vanessa? And so we decided to start a team, and so I got it started with 12 students, and over the years it's grown to 30, and it's all to music, 2.5 minutes to music. And the autistic child, you would think wouldn't like it, but they love it. It usually takes about a year for an autistic child to get used to the music and get used to, the people, because we stunt. The kids go up in stunts. They tumble. And when they hit the floor, they just light up. So it really is very rewarding. And I have 17 volunteer coaches. Nobody gets paid. And we charge our families about $75 a year, and that's it.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's great. Thanks for doing that. So thanks for telling us about that.
Sure.
And Mayor Kathy, I really appreciate you being with us on the Journey podcast. Got a couple of rapid fire questions here. So this one
Okay.
says try to answer the questions without thinking about it too much. So there's more fun. What other occupation, other than what you've already done, and you've done some different things, would you like to try after maybe being mayor? Maybe you want to be mayor the rest of your life. I don't know.
Well, no, I'm working on my MBA right now. I'm hoping to graduate next May, and I'd like to teach. I'd like to teach at a college, and I think that would be a wonderful way to end my career.
Well, fantastic. Okay. Give me 3 books you'd recommend to the audience.
Riding the bus with my sister. I would say, oh boy, I have a stack of books that I'm waiting to read, but that Riding the Bus with My Sister is one of my favorites. I really liked, when I was younger, I'll just say, I really liked a lot of, oh, Nate, you caught me off guard here with this book question. I'm sorry. Let me think. The I'm Okay, You're Okay is a good book too. And there's a book out now that it's okay to not to be okay. I don't know if you've ever read that, but I just bought that book to read. What I do for books is I find them and I'll look for the bestsellers and I'll look through the list and see which one I want. And I really have a stack of books because when I get home, if I start to read a book, I'm asleep at like 2 pages in. So it takes me a while to read a book because I'm putting all my energy into work. But I'm going to say 50 books that I've purchased over the years that when I retire, that's going to be something that I get to do. But I do love to read. And there's not a lot of time when you're in a master's program right now to read.
Oh, absolutely. I understand it. So thanks for sharing those with me. So maybe one of our audience members is starting a business or starting something new. What's one word of advice that you would give them?
One word of advice. That is hard to do.
You can do 2. It's okay. You have a lot of good wisdom.
I would say seek counsel, not meaning not to go out to attorneys, but seek, others and talk to them before you jump in with both feet.
Okay, thank you. That's great. So I've asked you a lot of questions today. What's one question you wish I would have asked you today?
One of the things that I'm most proud of, Nate, is my family. So I didn't get to talk about my family, but I would say my family.
So tell us a little bit about your family and what you're able to share here today.
Well, I have 6 children. Of course, we have a special needs child. We have a son that's adopted from China. And, I'm just very, very proud of them. Most of them have gone into, the older children have gone into careers that deal with people, such as one's an occupational therapist, one's a school counselor, and one's a teacher.
Wow.
And I think Vanessa's life has impacted them to go into those fields. And that makes me very happy.
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks so much. Tell us how our audience, which spreads beyond Massillon, how can they engage with you if they want to reach out or follow or learn more about Mayor Kathy? What's the best way to engage with Mayor Kathy there?
I am pretty much an open connector. So people will tag me on Facebook. They will send me messages on Messenger. They'll text me or they can email me, and it's Mayor Kathy at MassillonOhio.gov, and Kathy's with a K and a Y. So that's Mayor Kathy at MassillonOhio.gov, and they can always call my office 330-830-1700. It's a real easy number for people to memorize, and just talk to Linda, my assistant, and she'll connect you to me.
That's fantastic. And check out what they're doing in Massillon. A lot of different channels there in Massillon, City of Massillon, Chamber of Commerce, and the different channels they have to see the great things that are happening in Massillon. I thank you, Kathy, for not only representing yourself today, but Massillon. It's always great to have a connection like this. Myself, not being a resident of Massillon, just you taking the time to engage with me, being on the other end of Stark County, it's great to get to know somebody else over there. Always like going into Massillon and the things that you guys have, and it's good to have you here on the Journey podcast. Thanks for being with us today.
Nate, thank you for inviting me, and I've really enjoyed meeting you, and so I wish you the very best in your successes.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.